Hello everyone. Let's go ahead and make the wheel for the train assembly that you're currently working on. Let's start a new 2D sketch. And we're going to go ahead and start off with a rectangle. Make sure you start on that origin. The distance is going to be 1. Your overall width is 0.25. There we go. Now we need to cut some other shapes into this. I'm going to go ahead and do a circle. And on that circle, I'm going to make sure I hit this midpoint of this line. You'll see that green dot. And we are at 0.25, and it should line right up. The other thing I want to do is I want to do another rectangle. Go ahead and just start it down here. Don't hit the midpoint. Avoid that. And let's go ahead and just stop it wherever, and we'll add some dimensions on here. So our dimension for here to the end is 0.25. And our dimension for here to here is 0.75. And then the height of this is 0.125. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and use our trim command and trim this area away here just to make it a little easier. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one just so that, oh, it doesn't look like it likes that. So that's okay. We'll leave it. Let's right click and hit OK. The next thing we need to do is we need to add some fillets onto here. So if you come up here and you do fillet, our value is 0.063. Now listen, sometimes when you have it to where it's exactly, when we do both of these, let's click here and let's click here. Sometimes when it's the exact measurement, it doesn't seem to like it so much. So let's see if mine completes it. Now mine did. If yours did not, it's okay. Leave the 1 or 2 undone. And then when we do our extrude, I'll show you what to do with that. Let's go ahead and exit out. Perfect. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to come up to our 3D model and let's do our revolve. And we need to make sure that it selects this entire piece. So you might have to do more than one selection. And then it's going to want to know, what do we want to revolve around? So we want to revolve around this axis here. So you need to actually click in this box so it knows that we're done selecting our profiles. Come over here, let me select it one more time. And this little light, the line will light up. So let's go ahead and select it. And then I want to go ahead and rotate it so you guys can see what's going on here. And let's go ahead and hit OK. Now, if one of your edges did not let you put that fillet in there, then you can actually do it now. You can select the edge, and on the 3D model tab, you can do your fillet here. So if you just select this, you can put in that 0.063 and select the edge that you want to radius or do the fillet on there. So don't worry so much if it didn't let you do it before. So this is just a basic wheel, but we need to add more to it. Let's go ahead and add our spokes in there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this around on the back side and start a sketch here. And we need to create the shape to cut out so that it will leave the spokes behind. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 2 lines. We'll dimension them in just a minute. So don't worry about those dimensions. Start at the origin, come out. It doesn't matter how long they are. We need to give these angular dimensions. Well, we need a horizontal or a vertical line to dimension off of, but we don't want the computer to recognize those lines. They're just for our reference. So to do that, we're going to do a line and we're going to click on construction geometry. Go from the origin and just go straight out. Once again, it doesn't matter how far you go. Make sure you uncheck that construction option, otherwise it'll stick with you. So we're going to do the construction line to this first one, and we're going to have that at 15 degrees. And then go from one of the solid lines to the other solid line and make that 30 degrees. Perfect. Now we need to draw 2 circles. So let's go ahead and just start in the middle. Our first diameter is going to be 1.25. And then our second diameter is going to be 0.75. Now, don't get confused, you guys, because you'll see that for a minute there was another circle showing up here. It's not really there. As soon as I moved off it, it disappeared. So we should be good. It's easiest at this point. Yes, we could do our cut extrude with just selecting the right things, but we need to do a pattern of this shape right here that goes around, and it's just easiest to do that if we clean up first. So we're going to come in here and use our trim command. And we want to trim off everything that will leave us just this shape right here, which is perfect. So we do have an option now to do a circular command. And I'm going to go ahead and select all of this. And our axis is this one here in the middle. There is an axis already existing there. If you were to expand your origin over here, you would see it. But I'm going to go ahead and select it here. We want 6 of them over the range of the 360 degrees. So that's just coincidental by default. So go ahead and hit OK. Now let's go ahead and cut those through. Come up to your 3D model and click on Extrude. And you have to select your profile. So I'm going to select inside each of these. Don't freak out that it is extruding outward because we can now change it to be cut. And you want to go ahead and make sure it's through all because we want it to go through the whole thing. And then hit OK. So you can see that our circular pattern that we did on these went ahead and cut through nice and clean. The next thing we need to do is put a hole in the center for the axle. So let's go ahead and rotate around, and we'll go ahead and do it on this front surface. So to do a hole, we need to place a point first. So we're going to start a sketch on this surface and then come up here to point. And we want it to be concentric with this entire wheel. Well, our origin is on center with those, so that would make it concentric. So let's go ahead and select our origin. Come up to 3D model, switch over to hole. And we're just doing a basic hole, so this is great. Let's go ahead and get rid of the countersink, the counter board that we had on here because that was from our last command. So our diameter is 0.28. And then it's a through hole, so let's go ahead and switch it to through all and hit OK. So if we look here at an angle, you can see that goes through the whole thing. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to have an extrusion that comes off of here. So let's go ahead and click here and start a sketch. Move this over. I'm going to draw a circle. Let me zoom in a little bit. And it's going to be horizontal with our origin. So I'm going to draw a circle. And this is going to be a diameter of 0.25. And then we're going to do a dimension from here. Let's go ahead and to the center of this. And that dimension is 0.70. And you'll see how it kind of runs into this, and that's okay. This is where they want it to be. Now it's showing we still need one dimension. I'm going to right click and hit OK. And I'm going to grab a hold of this. Do you see how this still goes upward? We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to do a horizontal dimension from my center point to my origin. And that way it's going to lock it into place. And you can see now it's fully constrained. Let's go ahead and extrude that. Select it. It comes out. And this distance should be 0.375. There we go. Okay, we need to put another feature onto here. So what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and start a sketch on here. It should flatten it out for us. Let's move it over and draw a circle. Make it on center with the peg that's coming out, and it's a diameter of 0.125. All right, so we want that to be left. We need to cut back this space here. So we need to actually project geometry and just click on the surface. And you'll see how it left that yellow circle behind. That's exactly what we needed to do because we're going to come up into 3D model and we're going to extrude. Click in the space between, see where it's that coral color, except we need to cut and we're going to have that value a 0.125. So here it left this little peg here. All right, the very last thing we need to do is we need to put a hole on the end of this that goes down. So we need to put a point in the right spot first. So I'm going to start another sketch. Move this back over, go up to point. I'm going to put it concentric with the extruded piece that comes out. And then I'm going to come up to hole. And it's just a basic hole. And I have it a specific distance. So our diameter is 0.0625 and our depth is 0.25. And then go ahead and hit OK. And if we rotate around, you should see that the hole does not go all the way through, that it just goes a certain distance down here. You can kind of see the bottom. We zoom in, you can see the bottom of the hole there. All right, guys, so this is your finished wheel.